What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So we are reacting to the F-47. It's the US reveal. I believe it was revealed a month ago or along the lines of that. So this is going to kind of go in more detail of it. A lot of things are rumored at the moment. Nothing's kind of concrete, but this I hopefully will be a bit accurate to what they're trying to do. But before we do, guys,
smash that subscribe button because we are en route to 100k.
Let's check this F-47 out.
NGAD, named in honor of Donald Trump. On March 21st, 2025, President Donald Trump dropped yet another information bomb by announcing that Boeing had won the contract to develop the sixth-generation F-47 fighter jet. This news instantly sparked widespread debate as the competition for the contract involved major defense industry players, including Lockheed Martin, the traditional manufacturer of American fighter aircraft. What makes the F-47 so important for the U.S. Air Force? What are its key features? In this video, we'll break down the technical characteristics and strategic implications of the new combat aircraft that could potentially reshape the balance of air power in the 21st century. The F-47 is being developed under the Next Generation Air Dominance Program, or NGAD for short, an ambitious U.S. Air Force initiative aimed at creating a sixth-generation fighter jet capable of securing total air superiority in the high-tech conflicts of the future. The NGAD program is...
But I'm a bit confused. They made the F-42 to do everything.
F-22.
Right? F-22 to do everything. Why did they create this?
I believe... Comment below, guys, if I'm wrong, because I think the F-22 was I think it was expensive to make. So this was, I think this is a more realistic version where they can, and it's more up to date with the new platform as well in terms of technology. Comment below, guys, if I'm wrong. I believe that's kind of the gist of it.
So now my question is, if they create, obviously we can all have this conversation because we don't have a clue. If they create, well, they are going to create this new one. If they've, God forbid, if there was another world war, will they release the old one along with this one?
I think it'll probably depend. Yeah, I reckon so. It will depend on what missions are needed and what they think is best for the mission.
Yeah.
So yeah, comment below, guys. Will they still release the F-22 if anything was to happen, or will they solely rely on the F-47 now? Comment below.
Is expected to replace the current fleet of F-22 Raptors, which, despite their power, are becoming outdated in light of emerging threats from China and Russia.
There we go.
Before diving into the F-47...
That's the problem. Sorry to pause again, guys. That's the problem. Because China and Russia are always trying to get higher to the next level with technology and their fighter jets, the US obviously has to make sure they can counteract that. Hence why they introduced the Golden Globe. That they probably felt the F-22 now, because it's been out for a while,
outdated.
It's just not capable for what Russia and China are trying to develop. So they need to make sure they got something. So if they try anything, they're covered.
Well, that answers my question, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
In itself, it's worth unpacking the intrigue behind the aircraft, particularly the choice of Boeing as the developer. Considering the company's troubled reputation in recent years, this might seem like a surprising decision. However, it appears to be the only realistic option at this point. Northrop Grumman declined to participate in the NGAD program, opting instead to focus its efforts on the B-21 Raider stealth bomber. Lockheed Martin, another potential contender, is committed for decades ahead to the production, servicing, and upgrading of the F-35 Lightning II multi-role fighters. In addition, Lockheed Martin's already involved in a separate program to develop a sixth-generation carrier-based fighter for the U.S. Navy. That naval project is distinct from NGAD, as the Pentagon learned its lesson after the F-35, a joint project for both the Air Force and Navy, proved to be far from ideal. Meanwhile, Boeing, which is already scaling back production of legacy models like the F-15, F-16, and FA-18, has significant unused industrial and technological capacity. The company is simply too vital to the U.S. defense sector to be left without contracts, which would risk the loss of critical expertise. Moreover, the recent scandals surrounding Boeing have led to massive internal reforms. The new management has clamped down on the so-called efficient management practices, putting real manufacturing back at the center of operations. As for the F-47 itself, solid information is still limited to key concepts. This will be a heavyweight air superiority fighter positioned as a next-generation replacement for the aging F-22 Raptor. The primary design focus is long-range capability essential for operations in the Indo-Pacific region, clearly signaling where U.S. strategic priorities are headed in the 2030s. The aircraft is expected to feature low observability and a large payload capacity. Interestingly, extreme maneuverability no longer appears to be a top priority. Seems the Pentagon has doubled down on the F-35's design philosophy, where the aircraft might fly more like a penguin than an eagle, but remain stealthy and deadly at long range. In fact, the F-47's main role likely won't be engaging in dogfights, but rather serving as a sensor hub, coordinating the actions of forward operating drones, guiding surface-to-air missiles, and directing air-to-air missile strikes.
That's the thing. They got so many different fighter jets now and different bombers and stuff. Every mission is going to be different, and they have to design each jet to serve a purpose. It's not just, we want more power. They need to think of a goal and achieve that goal through their creation or their invention. So yeah, they got good variety, in my opinion.
The aircraft is expected to be capable of sustained supersonic cruising at speeds up to Mach 2 and to reach an altitude comparable to or exceeding that of the F-22.
Wow.
A major focus of the program is adaptability, meaning the F-47 must be easy to upgrade over time as battlefield requirements evolve, both in terms of onboard equipment and software. The F-47 will be powered by 2 next-generation engines developed under the Next Generation Adaptive Propulsion Program, or NGAP, created specifically for the NGAD aircraft. In August 2022, the U.S. Air Force awarded framework contracts worth $975 million each to 5 leading American aerospace companies to design and test prototype NGAP engines. These companies include GE Aerospace, a division of General Electric, Pratt & Whitney in partnership with Raytheon Technologies, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and Northrop Grumman. The last 3 are serving more as integrators than engine developers, and the final engine choice is expected to be between 2 adaptive 3-stream concepts, the XA-102 from GE Aerospace and the XA-103 from Pratt & Whitney. In early 2025, the Air Force expanded the contracts with GE Aerospace and Pratt & Whitney to $3.5 billion each.
They must make so much money, they're private companies. Thing is, they need these private companies, but the price tag behind it is a lot of money, man.
Yeah, but look at what they're creating.
And they're testing the engines, so it's not anyone can do that. You need to know what you're doing. Yeah.
Yep.
To support continued development and testing of their respective NGAP engines. Interestingly, the Chinese 6th-generation fighter prototype, known as the Chengdu J-36, reportedly uses 3 WS-10C engines with afterburners. This suggests that China has yet to achieve the required thrust levels in both dry and afterburning modes.
You know where they got those engines from? Temu.
And is compensating by installing 3 engines, an arrangement that brings many obvious drawbacks. In terms of appearance, our only reference points are a few official composite images revealed in the Oval Office during Trump's announcement of Boeing's victory. These show a fighter with a large cockpit canopy and a sharply swept wing with a pronounced dihedral angle.
That is sick.
It remains unclear whether the aircraft has vertical stabilizers, but it likely does not. As seen with China's Chengdu J-36, vertical stabilizers greatly compromise stealth, and the F-47 is expected to be even less visible on radar than the already stealthy F-22 and F-35. True, removing vertical stabilizers makes it more difficult to achieve aerodynamic stability and maneuverability, but China's apparently managed it, and the United States, after all, is the only country to have mass-produced tailless stealth bombers, namely the B-2 and B-21. The total cost of the NGAD program is estimated at $20 billion.
Wow.
The plan is to produce a fleet of 200 aircraft, with the maximum unit cost, including R&D, reaching up to $300 million. However, the F-47 is projected to be cheaper to operate than the F-22 due to maturing technologies and a significant reduction in maintenance hours. According to U.S. Air Force Chief of Staff General David Alvin, F-47 prototypes will take to the skies during the current Trump administration, meaning before early 2029.
Wow.
It's also been revealed that since 2020, competing NGAD teams have already built and flown several experimental demonstrator aircraft, logging hundreds of flight hours during testing.
It seems like Trump is very keen on getting his stuff done while he's in presidency, because with the Golden Globe, he said it'll be 3 years. This 2029. So I feel like, because last time, when he was building the wall for the for Mexico or whatever, he didn't finish it. And then when Joe Biden came in place, they stopped all the funding and said, and it was literally a half-done wall, and all that money went into it. So I think he learned a bit of a lesson from the looks of it, and he wants it
do
done
while
in case he loses the next one and they don't want him further. It's done. Like, do you know what I mean? You can't cancel something that's finished.
Notably, the Pentagon's vision of a sixth-generation fighter appears to closely mirror that of China. When China showcased 3 different sixth-generation prototypes at the end of 2024, it sent shockwaves through the U.S. Air Force and was a major factor in reviving the NGAD program, which was on the verge of cancellation. For the first time in decades, American technological superiority in military aviation was seriously called into question. Trump's announcement appears aimed at restoring confidence in the U.S. defense industry following the reputational blow caused by China's display of progress. That may be why the president stated that the F-47 prototype had been undergoing secret testing for nearly 5 years. Unofficial sources claim that experimental sixth-generation aircraft have been flying since 2020 at classified locations, including Edwards Air Force Base and the infamous Area 51, long associated with cutting-edge stealth technology. And finally, a small conspiracy theory. Why the F-47 designation? Originally, the final contractor selection for this aircraft was scheduled for 2024. However, between May and July 2024, President Joe Biden's administration effectively paused the program to reevaluate its design concepts. The NGAD program was only restarted in late December 2024, likely influenced by the re-election of President Trump, who had consistently supported the project. During his first term, in fact, the NGAD program saw some of its most important developments in 2018 and 2020. Ultimately, it was Trump who approved Boeing's proposal as the winner of the competition. And here's the fun part, Trump is the 47th president of the United States. Put 2 and 2 together, and the F-47 designation starts to look more symbolic than random.
Yeah,
there is, however, a more official explanation. The F-47 name may be a nod to the legendary P-47 Thunderbolt of World War II, a heavy fighter that was one of the most powerful and effective aircraft of its time, known for its ruggedness, firepower, and long range. It played a key role in Europe, especially against German forces, and laid the foundation for the modern concept of the multi-role heavy fighter. So which version do you prefer? Could the F-47 eventually be named the Thunderbolt III? Don't forget the A-10 Thunderbolt II ground attack aircraft is already a living legend. We hope that one day the F-47 earns that same iconic status, and it certainly has all the ingredients to do so. What do you think? Will the F-47 become a legend in its own right? And more importantly, will it outperform China's 6th-generation Chengdu J-36, proving once again that the United States remains the global leader?
It's really sad that the innovation of military production is done based on, like, they call it peace with power. Peace with power. So they have to keep in order for the world to keep peaceful, everyone's just competing to be the strongest to keep the peace in their way, in their world.
This is the thing, though. Like, I feel like when, let's just say there's 2 countries and they're enemies, but they're holding peace together. When one finds out they're much stronger than the other, it gives them more of an advantage and more of a reason to attack that country that they've been wanting to take over for God knows how many years. So this is why they're all 3 countries are battling against each other to have the strongest technology.
To give them the strongest, powerful position
between them. And I feel like with America, they want to hold their standing point and show we are the strongest, and no matter what you build, you cannot defeat us. I think that's the impression.
That's the impression I get as well.
Because why would they create the F-47?
Thing is, the US is the strongest out of the 3. It's just once they kind of get to that point, the rest they might take their foot off the gas a little bit because they don't need to do any more because they are the strongest clearly. Then they get that gives China and Russia time to build and catch up. But as soon as the US sees them catching up a little bit, they're like, we do something.
And I think it's smart that they're allowing updates for the F-47 as well, because they can update any time. Not
like the F-22 where they had to get rid of, stop it. Yeah, it was very interesting. Guys, thanks so much for that video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. For now, peace out.
Bye.